thing that would put enough torque on the axle to flip the car. Then later, when they couldn't go through the infield, they wanted to do it right on the track in a more confined area. They'd run the left wheels over a ramp. That's the way you've seen it done.
Yeah.
And then they can roll it over practically in a straight line. The other way was more spectacular because you never knew just when it was going to happen.
I haven't had one in a long, long time.
Oh, I'm gonna,
Who's that?
I don't know. get your views on the automobile in general from the time it What was the first car you had?
Personally,
Yeah.
an old Chevy.
Chevy?
Yeah,
What make and year was it? Do you remember?
1922.
Oops.
No, 1923. They called it a Chubby. It was a stretched out coupe or a pushed in sedan.
Oh, I have to ask you to tell me again once the chimes are done. I'm just going to stop the clock.
Yeah. Sharon must have started that thing.
Yeah, I forgot to start it again after we finished. I'm just going to stop for a second and check
Oh.
that everything's... Okay.
Okay. Tell me when.
Okay.
You want to know about the first car I owned personally, is that it?
Yes, please.
Well, when I graduated from high school, among the various graduation presents was $35 in cash. And with this, I bought a 1923 Chevrolet. And that was my first car that my name was on the title. And mechanically, it was pretty good shape. So I had quite a bit of fun with it. We didn't take any big trips. We drove several trips that were maybe 50, 60 miles one way that we took that old car. But I used it mostly to go hunting and fishing and kept it about a year, and then I sold it and I bought a Whippet Roadster, 1927 Whippet Roadster, which was about the size of an MG, had wire wheels, was real sporty. And that was mechanically demolished, really. The people that owned it had never taken care of it, but it did run, and it looked good, and I had a lot of fun with it. But from then I progressed through all the various makes, Pontiacs, Dodges, Plymouths, what have you.
Was your first car a used car?
Oh yes, $35.
Oh, that was the total price.
That's right.
Quite a deal.
What I made out of that, because the thing was so full of dirt, I used my mother's vacuum cleaner to clean it out, and it sucked something out of the seats that jammed the motor and stalled it in the sweeper. And it turned out to be a folded up $20 bill. So actually the car cost me $15.
Were there a lot of cars on the road?
Oh, there were a lot of them, yeah. People kept their cars a long time.
In the 30s?
Oh yeah, most people have a car 10 to 20 years old.
In what year?
Anywhere in the early 30s. I graduated in 31.
Were the roads good then?
The main roads were pretty good, yeah. Sometimes they only had money enough to pave half of the road, and they would pave one side of it So when you met a car, somebody had to get off in the unpaved part. And it was almost like a game of chicken deciding who was going to get off till you passed.
There was no law about it, was there?
Well, there was a law, but you were a long ways from enforcement. You'd be out in the country 20 miles from a town, and who's going to know who's where? It was open season.
Were people generally courteous?
Oh, on the average, I suppose, more than half of them, they were courteous in self-defense. No one wanted to do a head-on crash out on the highway.
Do you recall seeing any thrill shows before 1930?
There were some small shows, mostly using the cheapest car possible, like a Model T Ford, which wasn't capable of getting up any serious speed, especially on a grandstand racetrack. And they would usually strip them down, take the fenders and the hood off and so on, and the upholstering out of the, take the body off, and for a seat they would just put a board across the frame, and the driver would sit on that board. They used to play polo with basketballs and croquet mallets, and they would put metal hoops on the cars, and they'd roll over going maybe 10 miles an hour, but they would roll over, and they could get out and pick the car up, put it back on its wheels, and go on with the game. It was a lot of fun to watch.
That's car polo?
Yeah,
Is that what they called it?
yeah, they called it auto polo.
Where on the car would they put the hoop?
Right behind the driver. They'd put a big metal hoop about 4 feet in diameter.
On the inside of the car?
There was no inside. There was nothing to the car but frame and wheels. There were no fenders, no hood, no body, just a chassis.
That would have been something to see.
It was a lot of fun. Every once in a while they would inadvertently run over the ball, which of course would explode. They had to get another ball.
How many cars would be involved in one of these?
They generally have 2 cars on each side. Each team had 2 cars. That was about all there was room for.
So it was like a team thing.
Yeah, supposed to be. But sometimes there was more competition among team members than there were among teams. Guy'd be playing against his own partner because he wanted to make the points.
Was there some kind of did the points get them something?
Oh, maybe $5 or something. Enough to make them interested.